Late one night, I found myself nestled in bed, indulging in a late-night TV binge. The tranquility of the hour was shattered by an unsettling noise, akin to the scampering of critters on the roof. Initially dismissing it as the antics of nocturnal creatures, I continued my show. Yet, the persistent clamor grew closer, eerily audible right outside my window. Annoyance soon gave way to apprehension as the unsettling racket persisted for what felt like an eternity. Desperate for respite, I resorted to a firm rap against the wall, hoping to startle the unseen intruders into silence. To my disbelief, my actions were met with a chilling response, two distinct knocks echoing from the exterior wall beside my window. Heart pounding, I leaped from my bed, my senses on high alert. Seeking a vantage point, I hurried downstairs to the living room bay window, granting me a clandestine view of the scene unfolding outside. What I beheld sent shivers down my spine. A figure lurking beneath my bedroom window, clutching a gleaming blade and caressing the facade of my home with unsettling reverence. Instinct took hold as I reached for the phone, fingers trembling as I dialed emergency services. Time stretched agonizingly as I watched, breath bated, as the authorities arrived to confront the intruder. With a sense of profound relief, I witnessed his apprehension. A small pocket knife wrested from his grasp. Though the ordeal ended without harm, the memory of that chilling encounter continues to haunt me, a stark reminder of the dangers lurking just beyond the safety of our homes. Fort Wayne, Indiana, a quaint town with a history as old as the country itself. My temporary abode, an ancient house nestled on the outskirts, was a relic of times long past. With only the company of my two feline companions, the creaks and whispers of its age often played tricks on my mind. It was the dead of winter, a bone-chilling January night when the cold seemed to seep into the very bones of the house. The clock struck an ungodly hour, somewhere between 2:30 and 3:00 a.m., when an urgent ringing shattered the stillness. Heart pounding, I approached the door with cautious steps, peering through the peephole to catch a glimpse of my unexpected visitor. Suddenly, the sound of hurried footsteps reverberated across the wooden deck, leading to the imposing glass side door. A guttural moan pierced the air, followed by the unsettling jiggling of the doorknob. Panic surged through me as I fumbled for my phone, fingers trembling as I dialed the authorities. Retreating to the safety of my room, I clutched my .357 pistol tightly, its weight a reassuring presence in the darkness. Outside, shadows danced across the windows, each attempt at entry sending a shiver down my spine. The minutes stretched into an eternity as I waited, heart pounding in my chest, for the arrival of the police. Finally, the distant wail of sirens signaled their approach. Peering cautiously from my window, I watched as the officers combed the area, their flashlights cutting through the icy darkness. With a sense of dread, they traced the path of the intruders. Footprints etched in the snow, drag marks telling a chilling tale of someone being forcibly moved. As the officers concluded their investigation, I could feel the tension ease from my shoulders. Only one set of footprints, one set of drag marks, a sinister duo intent on breaching the sanctity of my home. It was a night of terror, of clutching my weapon close and watching the world outside with wary eyes. In the aftermath, I made the decision to leave, not solely due to the harrowing encounter, but also the unsettling realization that Fort Wayne held darker secrets than I had ever imagined. As I settled on the couch for what remained of the night, my .357 cradled in my hands, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, and the knowledge that danger lurked just beyond the fragile barrier of my home. We moved into our new house a few months back, an exciting time of new beginnings, or so we thought. Little did we know that our cozy abode came with an unexpected guest, a spectral presence lingering in the very walls we now called home. It all began with the tragic passing of the previous renter, a man in his mid-40s, right in the heart of our living room. The somber echoes of his departure seemed to linger, casting an otherworldly shadow over our new beginnings. Shortly after settling in, our 2-year-old daughter, with her tender innocence and vivid imagination, started to weave tales of a ghostly companion in our midst. Now, as any parent knows, 2-year-olds are impressionable creatures, easily swayed by the whims of their imagination. Yet, her persistent claims of a friendly ghost inhabiting our house gave me pause. She spoke of the ghost in her playhouse in the basement, on the stairs, even standing silently in the corner of a room. Yet, what struck me most was her lack of fear, her belief that this apparition was not an intruder but a friend. I found myself in a peculiar dance between skepticism and curiosity, unsure of what to make of her fantastical tales. In moments of quiet, I would address the unseen presence, offering a warm welcome if indeed it was real, or gentle encouragement to move on if it wished. My skepticism wavered at times, wondering if there truly was a spirit lingering within our walls, or if it was simply the product of an overactive imagination. Then came the fateful morning, shrouded in darkness and rain, as we made our way to the car for daycare. It was then that my daughter, with her innocent sincerity, declared that the ghost was on the back deck. And then, in a moment that sent a shiver down my spine, she proclaimed that it was the ghost's birthday. Now, I'll admit, I'd brushed it off at first. After all, this was the same child who had insisted on singing happy birthday to Mickey Mouse and inanimate objects alike. But a nagging curiosity tugged at me, compelling me to delve deeper into the truth behind our spectral housemate. With a mix of trepidation and fascination, I searched for the obituary of the man who had passed away in our living room. And there, in stark confirmation of my daughter's innocent revelation, I found it, his birthday. In that moment, skepticism gave way to a quiet acceptance, a recognition that perhaps our daughter's tales were not mere flights of fancy. The ghostly presence, once a source of uncertainty, now seemed like a quiet guardian, watching over our home with a gentle presence. As we sang happy birthday to an unseen guest that day, I couldn't help but wonder at the mysteries that lay within the walls of our new abode. And though we may never fully understand the nature of our spectral friend, I found comfort in the thought that, in some small way, we had honored his memory on that rainy morning. It was just another evening at work, the quiet hum of the office settling into a peaceful rhythm. My colleague and I shared a cozy little office tucked away in the back hallway of one of the wings, a secluded spot that offered respite from the business of the main area. That evening, as we were wrapping up some tasks, a sudden noise shattered the tranquil air. It was the unmistakable sound of a door loudly shutting somewhere in the hallway. Both of us exchanged puzzled glances, a silent question hanging in the air. Curiosity piqued, I ventured out to investigate, but found nothing amiss in the dimly lit corridors. The following weeks brought with them an eerie sense of unease, like a subtle shift in the atmosphere of our wing. During my late night stays to catch up on work, I started noticing peculiar noises, a soft sliding sound, like a shoe gliding across the floor. Each time, I was certain that no one else was in the building with us. Even the janitor, my companion during these late hours, began to feel the weight of unease pressing upon her. She recounted tales of doors slamming shut in empty wings, an unsettling occurrence that sent shivers down our spines. One particular night, we embarked on a brave investigation, only to find all the doors securely locked. Yet, the kitchen light burned brightly, defying explanation. I vividly remembered instances when that same light pierced the darkness of the empty building, its presence a silent enigma. As whispers of strange occurrences floated through the office, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes lingering in the shadows. One colleague spoke of her room decorations mysteriously shifting when she returned from a brief absence. Another recounted the chilling discovery of a single footprint imprinted on her desk, a stark reminder of an inexplicable presence. The thought of a spectral visitor seemed almost comforting amidst the growing unease, a whispered hope that perhaps these anomalies were of a supernatural nature. For the alternative, That a living, breathing person roamed the halls, orchestrating these eerie events, sent a shiver down my spine. In the quiet solitude of our office, surrounded by the hushed whispers of inexplicable phenomena, I couldn't help but wonder about the secrets hidden within the walls of our workplace. The mysteries lingered, casting a veil of uncertainty over our nightly routines, leaving us to ponder the unsettling question: what unseen presence dwelled within the shadows of our office wing? It was the dead of night, the silence broken only by the distant hum of tires against asphalt. I was driving down Interstate 79, the road stretching out before me like a ribbon of black in the moonlight. The world seemed to belong to me alone, with only the occasional passing car to remind me that civilization still existed. As I rounded a bend, my headlights illuminated a dark shape in the middle of the lane. My heart lurched as I realized it was a black bear, massive and imposing, staring directly at me with unwavering eyes. Instinct took over, and I swerved sharply, the tires screeching against the pavement as I veered off the road. The impact with the tree line was jarring, the world spinning in a dizzying whirl of motion. When everything finally came to a halt, I sat there for a moment, dazed and disoriented. The bear, startled by the crash, bolted into the safety of the woods. Shaken but unhurt, I knew I had to call for help. I reached for my phone, fingers trembling as I dialed 911. The dispatcher assured me that help was on the way, but the thought of being stranded in the middle of nowhere, alone with the memory of that bear, sent a chill down my spine. I stepped out of the car, the cold night air biting at my skin. I scanned the darkened woods, half expecting to see the bear lurking in the shadows. And then I heard it, a rustling in the bushes, a low growl that sent a shiver down my spine. There she was, the mama bear, fierce and protective. In my panic, I had failed to notice that I had hit her cub in my desperate attempt to avoid her. Rage burned in her eyes as she charged towards me, her massive form barreling through the underbrush. I had no choice but to seek refuge in the only place I could, the back of my car. I scrambled into the trunk, heart pounding in my chest as I slammed the door shut behind me. The bear, driven by maternal instinct, began to ram the car with all her might, her roars echoing through the night. For what felt like an eternity, I cowered in the darkness of the trunk, the sounds of the bear's fury reverberating around me. I prayed for the police to arrive, for their sirens to scare the bear away and save me from this nightmare. Finally, the wail of sirens pierced the night, the sound a welcome relief. The bear, startled by the sudden noise, retreated back into the safety of the woods. The police arrived soon after, their lights cutting through the darkness like a beacon of hope. As they assessed the damage to my car, I couldn't help but feel a profound sense of gratitude. I had survived, shaken but alive, thanks to the quick response of the authorities. But as I drove away from that desolate stretch of highway, the memory of that fierce mama bear and her relentless fury haunted me. It was a night I would never forget, a brush with nature's raw power that left me humbled and awed.